It's been a while since we've hit on some Ditko. Here's the Steve Ditko Omnibus from DC Comics Volume 1. There's 2 volumes of this, and these were printed a while back. And these are not oversized omnibuses. They're standard size comics, just so you know in advance. But a lot of this stuff has not really been reprinted, so it's really good to check out. And you've got this on the inside. They've got just some blown up art. This is that like soft light stock hardcover that DC like to use for a bit. And it's got, of course, I've got it upside down with the dust jacket. My bad. I do this from time to time when I take my dust jackets off after reading. All right. This contains a lot of stuff that's not on the back. So we'll go through the table of contents in the front. Sometimes they put them on the back. Sometimes they don't. That is the nature of DC Comics. All right, so it's got a bunch of stuff. We got Shade the Changing Man, which goes all the way to like issue number 9, so it's a lot. And then it goes through Canceled Comics Cavalcade, which actually kind of further does the issues of Shade the Changing Man. There were a couple stories that were done but never got printed. So they were reprinted, I guess, in this omnibus for the first time. They're not colored, those 2 issues, so it's very interesting. Then we get into a bunch of like sci-fi and fantasy and horror short stories that Steve Ditko drew. He wrote a couple of them, but like he goes through a lot of different writers. Then we get to The Stalker, which is a miniseries from the 70s, which was 4 issues. And then it goes back into a bunch of short fiction from Ditko. So, good stuff. I, of course, love the Ditko art. He's got his own unique art style, which is just wild. And with Shade the Changing Man, he really flexes a bunch of cool designs, which are just so out there and different than everything else. Like, you can't get this sort of thing. It's a sci-fi fair, and there's, like, this whole, like, world, and it's detached, and, like, they can send people to our world, and they send it through this zone that's really dangerous. And, you know, basically some criminals escaped, and Shade is being framed for government conspiracy by some bad guys, and is out with them. So they're hunting him down while he's trying to figure things out. Now, there's a cool plot along with this. Look at just some of this art design. Absolutely wild from Ditko. There's a cool plot to this where, like, his fiance or something like that actually is like an agent tracking him down. And like, so he's trying to deal with these criminals as they're coming through to Earth because he's actually a good guy. He's also trying to evade his government because they're tracking him down, and she believes he's a traitor. Now, once they get back into their world here, eventually they do. Here's her trying to hunt him down. She fails and gets into trouble. And he's got a suit which can like make him project anything, and it also protects him. It's kind of odd powers. Look at some of this strange art that's trying to show invisible people. But Ditko did some wild stuff, and like here's some of his projections again. Look, it's just crazy. I mean, you just don't get creativity like this from a lot of artists. A lot of copying and draftsmanship in comic art, but Ditko really did his own wild things. Eventually, like, this, like, we reveal there's this, like, plot from this, like, this creature here to sort of, like, take over their whole government and all that. And it turns out it's actually Shade's girlfriend's mom who is, like, crippled. And she's trying to hide her identity, and there's a lot of back plots and all this. Look at this one. Look at the cool art here. Look at those designs. Absolutely enjoyable stuff. There's a ton of plot packed into this stuff. Plus, there's a ton of cool art. So eventually he clears his name. Eventually has to go back to Earth, and this is those Canceled Comics Cavalcade where you can kind of see just the line art because it was never colored, never published, and he has to deal with these creatures in this like zone in between Earth and his world. And then we get into different short stories. So this is just, you get a lot of twists in these. Ditko does these, this like Gorgo, kind of what he drew from Charlton in the 60s. And some of them are hit and miss. It really depends on the writer. And they're all over the map because there's just so many different writers over the course of these. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. But you get a lot of cool Ditko art through these, and the short stories are quick reads because they're like, 4 to 8 pages typically. And they always have a little twist in them. There's a grandpa who is a ghost trying to guide his family along. The demon and his boy. There's a cute one where the boy gets brought into a demon world and he kind of takes over. And here's the Stalker. All right. The Stalker, I was thinking was going to be a horror thing when I just saw the name, and I didn't know, but it's a fantasy fair. And this guy gets imbued with the power of a demon. He's trying to, deal revenge, and, of course, the revenge doesn't really pan out the way he thinks. The art's beautiful by Ditko. I think Wally Wood actually, does the inking. So you get a little, it doesn't look quite like Ditko. Ditko's got very pronounced faces and a very, very pronounced style to it. And Wally Wood really, I'd say, smooths it out quite a bit compared to normal Ditko fare. And so you get a really different look. But, I mean, gosh, the two of them collaborating, this is just perfection in comics. And honestly, Wally Wood makes the women look a lot prettier than when Ditko draws them. Ditko does not draw very pretty women. That is kind of his one failing, I'd say. But the Stalker eventually goes after the demon who gave him his power and enters the demon realm and goes after him in this sword and sorcery epic. And goes to this island where he has to fight demons off. And there's this lady, she's pretending to be on his side, but she ends up being a demon. It's really great sword and sorcery fare. I mean, I really didn't want this to end. And this is just top quality comics. This is, my gosh, just find the Stalker if you can. So this guy, once we get into this, we are now into kind of romantic comedy sort of thing that goes on. And it's kind of wild. We get a circus trainer who's cruel to animals through this. He gets his due. And we get back into these odd fairs. Now we get into a weird war situation where we get these doomsday scenarios, and this one goes for a while when we find out this future world, and they're fun. There's a pirates one in the Weird War series, and my gosh, they're all really solid. These are pretty fun towards the end of this. This one's by Arnold Drake. I was expecting a little better out of the Arnold Drake one because I've read a bunch of his stuff in the past. Didn't quite work. Here's a haunted house one. Seems like a copy of some stuff I've seen before. These horror ones. Yeah, now we're getting Ditko. That's obviously inked by Ditko. You can kind of tell the difference. He's got his he's got a kind of just more gruesome way of looking at the world than others do. Some of his stuff gets inked by others in this, and you could tell during that, too. I like the Wally Wood one. This is some sci-fi stuff. There's a bunch of, travel through time situations here. Ditko just, again, he just, look at these designs. Wow. Very cool. Different stuff. Once again. And it just ends with these short stories here. So, cool stuff. I enjoyed it. So, this last one was very weird. EM, the energy monster. EM, energy monster. And this energy monster can, take any form it kind of goes into. This is a very odd one to end with. But, it's, and that one was written by Ditko. So that was a little stranger and more, I'd say, unique than some of the others. But, my gosh, super fun read. Great stuff. The short stories are nice because you can kind of pick them up and put them down anytime. Shade the Changing Man is a must-read, and same with the Stalker. I gotta say, if you can find this, grab this volume. 9 out of 10. Good stuff. Some of Ditko's finest work. All right. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.